The World Engineer back with another video. This video is about how to find an apartment in Lisbon, Portugal in 2022. This is a follow-on video from the first video I did maybe about a year and a half ago when I first moved here. That got a good response, so I thought I'd do an updated version of it. In the meantime, if you want to head over to my Patreon and get my free ebook, you can do. All the details are down below there. The ebook is about how to get started in Lisbon and how to get yourself established. Things like the tax number and social security, work contracts, etc., etc. This is about renting apartments, not buying apartments. So just want to make that clear. It's not about the golden visa. That's something for a separate video that I may do in the future. But this is just particularly my point of view of somebody coming here and finding out the information in the last 2 years and just seeing how kind of tricky some of the stuff was and some of the things that I found during the journey. Now, just reading some notes that I put down here, I asked myself a question of when I was going to make this video, if I was somebody who wanted to come to Lisbon for 3 months because of their visa, what are the possibilities, what's realistic and what's not. Now, most of the landlords here would ask if you're renting privately, like an apartment, or even in some cases a room, they would ask for a minimum of 6 months to 12 months. Not so much with the rooms, but with the apartments, yeah, pretty much they want you on a 12-month contract, which I think is pretty standard anyway. So if you've only got a visa for 3 months, that's not really an option for you. You could go down the route of not getting a contract with a landlord, but I would say that because they often charge you, I don't know, maybe 1 month or 2 months or even 3 months deposit or security and the rent on top of that, you can imagine that is quite expensive if you're only here for a month or 2 months or 3 months. So the best option in that case, if you are willing to, and you have got that much money to spend, or at least you've got a big budget, you can jump on Airbnb and maybe get something that would be roughly about, I don't know, anywhere between 700 to 1,000, and you could live very comfortably there. My budget for apartments in Lisbon at the moment, this is what I'm talking about, is anywhere between 450 to 650. Now, I've noticed in the past year that has changed a lot. Especially online, there's a lot less quality apartments, T1, so 1 bedroom, for anything below 500. And there used to be lots, this time last year. But of course, a lot more people are moving here. I can see that. I can feel it, and the demand has gone higher. And also, people selling houses. My friend who's currently buying a couple of houses here, he said the prices in kind of the Lisbon area have just gone up and up in the 2 years that he's been here. So yeah, that's my budget. I'm looking for about 600 euros. Let's call it 575 to about 650. So I've not got a massive budget, but it is possible to get a 1-bedroom apartment where you've got a separate bedroom, a separate kitchen, and a living room. I'm not talking about studio apartments, because who wants to live in a room? So anyway, so you come here and you're thinking, you want to live here, what do you do? Well, there's a couple of things, as I mentioned, and some landlords will ask you for all this deposit and they'll ask for a guarantor. Now, I understand the need for a guarantor, but in my experience, to have a guarantor means you're a student, and the guarantor would be your parents. But for some reason, some landlords require a deposit and a guarantor, which is usually somebody who lives in Portugal who can act as your, if you don't pay the rent. I think personally that's too much. Unless the place is amazing, I would just avoid somebody who says they need a guarantor, because maybe they've had problems in the past and they don't trust people, potentially. That's usually with more individual landlords. You'd find with letting agencies, they really don't care as long as you just give them enough money. That's the best way to go sometimes, but not always. So you come here and you think, okay, I can't get a place through the usual websites. Now, I'll list a few websites here. Well, in fact, I'll put them in the links down below, because it's a lot easier than me just reading a big list of websites. So check out that. So yeah, you come here and you want to stay here for a couple of months. I would really just jump on Airbnb. That's what I did when I came here. I looked on the monthly stays, and if you can stay over a month, you get a huge discount. So if you say you want to be here for 3 months and you've got the money to put up front for 3 months rent, which probably could be, I don't know, like 500 to 700 in a comfortable area. That's kind of the same amount of money as getting an apartment anyway when you're paying the deposit. So if you've got that budget, jump on Airbnb, pay for 3 months up front, and it's quite easy. You just move in and you move out. It's all controlled by Airbnb. You're all protected by them. But I do understand that people want to stay here a bit longer as well. So what are the options there? Well, the options for somebody who's never lived in Portugal before, I would advise you to maybe come here and get your documents sorted. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the tax number. Try and apply for the certificate of registration, depending on if you're in the EU or not. I have made a video about that previously, but I'm going to update it. But it is in the ebook, so if you want to jump on Patreon, you'll get that ebook sent to you. That goes into more detail about how to actually get a residency, depending on if you're EU or non-EU. The more documents you can have to show a landlord to say, look, I've not just turned up here with like £5,000 in cash, give me an apartment. Yes, landlords would probably rent you an apartment if you give all the money in cash, but it's probably not the best thing to do in terms of getting the money back, So I would say, get as many documents as you can here, get your tax number sorted, your NIF and stuff. Try and apply for your residency, get some sort of confirmation that you've applied for the residency from SEF, and see the other things you can get to kind of back up that you're being serious about living here. If you're only here for a few months, then you could easily do that in a month. You could get some documents. But as in terms of just moving here without anything, Airbnb honestly is gonna be your best bet just for a month, and then use that month to get these documents sorted. If you wanna check out the ebook as well. It's like basically we'll give you a long list of like what you need to kind of get going here. So check that out and support the channel. That'd be great. In the time I've got left, I don't want to make this video too long. I've just made some notes about like kind of, people ask me like, where's a good area to live? Well, it depends on kind of your style and what you want. Now, me personally, I would, I've been all around Lisbon, and I would say areas to live in potentially that are not super expensive. Bear in mind my budget. Alcantara, just the area near Shoes Factory. Really good vibe. Quite quiet. Not much noise. Not much noise in comparison to some areas. Santos, again, amazing. Absolutely, my favourite. Martin Maniz as well. Got a different vibe to it. Very close to the centre, and has a very kind of international feel to it. Maravilla, if you've got a bit more money, that is a bit more out towards Bito, towards the kind of Parque de Nações, the kind of to the northeast of Lisbon. It does have transport links, a couple of buses, maybe one train that goes there, so it is a little bit out of the way, but it's a very up and coming area. But also I do understand that the rent is going to go through the roof. But next to that, as I mentioned, Bito, nice area as well. If you want to live a bit more kind of city vibe, I would suggest São Sebastián. Excellent links to the train line, metro, every metro you can think of. Every metro that you really need. It's a good area, but for me personally, I wanted somewhere a little bit more quiet because it is, kind of a bit busy in terms of traffic and stuff. If you've got a little bit more money, I would suggest Mezzocardio. Amazing little area of Lisbon, and Bicker as well. Depends on what you want. It's got a kind of nice vibe during the day, and it's got a nice kind of scene at night with loads of things to do, but it's not as busy in terms of nightlife as Barrio Alto, which is a good thing because it has venues, but the venues are kind of like inside, so that's good. But that's by far my favourite area to live in. But it's kind of next to Santos, and it's quite competitive to find a house because everybody wants to live there. But places to avoid. Now, this is like an opinion of mine, obviously. Places to avoid because I've maybe lived there or have been there and I've heard like, yeah, I've just got a sense from like the surroundings that I didn't like it. I don't like it for some reason, but I would say Complead. This is plainly because of the planes. No, this is purely because of it's in an air path. So Complead, Benfica, Setiros, Avelid, and Eros. Although with that said, the last one next to Indendente and Años, the road that's on from Martin Benitez is highly, sought after for people who want to get into the centre of Lisbon really quickly, because you can walk from there for 20 minutes. But if you go any higher than the Eros, you start to become near the airport. So if you're a light sleeper, I'd probably avoid the higher ends of the Green Line, the Metro line. But it depends. I mean, busy areas, Marcos Pombal, of course, is the centre of Lisbon, the official centre of Lisbon, and Park as well. Although it is next to the park, which is a nice little touch. It's a very, very nice park, Aguado 7 Park. And I said to avoid Alameda as well, because I've lived there and it was just a bit too busy. But that could have been the road where I lived. So, okay, I'm just reading some more notes. I've got a lot of notes here, thinking extra information that you need to know. Right, well, in summer it becomes very, very competitive to live here. I understand that. So, say if you're on a 12-month contract and it starts in summer, it probably will start in summer. And now you might be thinking about winter. Here, the houses don't have heating. Some of the new ones, yes, they do. They might have air conditioning on the walls. That is something to look out for, because it doesn't get cold, but depending on where you are from in the world, it can feel cold. But I think as a general vibe, even with double glazed windows, it can kind of feel a bit cold. But just be on the lookout for that, and look at the condition of the house as well. Something that I've experienced in 2 separate houses in the 2 winters that I've been here, and one was absolutely horrendous, and then the next year was kind of bearable. But yeah, so if you ever, this is an interesting one, if you ever come across anybody saying, say if you're renting a room, for example, and you ever come across somebody saying, well, to have people over to stay in your room, you have to pay more money, or you have to ask permission for people to come over to your room, I would avoid that situation, because that's an apartment kind of disguised as a hotel. And they have different rules, and if you look around the apartment, you will see that they have fire safety things on the walls. They'll probably have fire extinguishers somewhere. They basically have the same rules as a hotel. It's very strange, and they can just basically enforce whatever rules they want. And yes, I mean, you live there with a contract and it's all good, and it's probably in a really nice area, but they can just walk into your apartment whenever they want. They don't need to ask, because it's not your apartment, it's a hotel. So there is quite a few sneaky little places like that. I'm not going to mention any names, but they're usually in the centre of Lisbon in Baixa. So watch out. Anything else? I can't think of anything else that I've written down. Again, this is the end of the video, pretty much. Best thing to do is check in the description. I'll list some housing websites where to find some houses. My budget was based on a T1, about like 60 meters squared, so quite a modest sized 1-bedroom place. I'll stick the websites to check out houses down below, and useful links as well that I've found, and also links to Patreon where you can get the ebook and any other information that you can find. Yeah, cool. I hope that wasn't too disconnected with me looking at notes, but there you go. If you've got any questions, drop your comments down below, and thank you for everybody getting in touch. You can give me an email anytime you want, and follow me on Instagram. It's the World in Ginger at Instagram, and yeah, follow me on Patreon, the World in Ginger, and I'll see you on the weekend for a new video. Take care.